Hi folks, so I've got an update on these carburetors, but this is just an update, I'm afraid. It's not the full Monty. Now, if you've been watching the previous videos, you know that I've had a bit of a nightmare because I've rebuilt the engine on this T160 Trident, and I also serviced the carbs. We didn't replace the carbs, but I serviced them, cleaned them all out and everything. We've put put everything on. The engine runs really nicely, but only on full choke. And I suddenly realised it was on full choke. And even with the engine warm, as soon as you turn the choke off, the engine dies. Then there's my other Trident. I forgot. Over there on the far side is my Trident, which is now wrapped up because we're in the middle of a really, really cold spell. As you're probably aware if you're in the UK. So I've wrapped everything up, although my poor matchless Model X is still a bit exposed. Anyway, I took the carbs off my bike, put it on this bike. It ran really well without the choke on. So I put the carbs off this bike onto my bike, and sure enough, the engine died as soon as you turn the choke off. But I had cleaned these carbs out, and I was sure that the airways weren't blocked. But they didn't seem to adjust on the air screws at all. I just couldn't find the problem. But I thought I cleaned them out. I thought I checked the float heights. I've checked everything I can think of. But they won't run with these carbs on unless you're on full choke. So in the end, I've sent them off to this. I'll call it a Carb whisperer. So that's Alverstoke Restorations down in Gosport on the south coast, where my uncle used to be in the Navy down there, right? So what he's done two major things. So he's drilled out the blank on the other side of the carburetor. So on one side of the carburetor, you've got the air screw. And on the other side of the carburetor, this is on a Trident, you've got these two holes, and they're both blanked off. That would be for a tick over adjuster. But on a Trident, we adjust the tick over on the gantry, so that's blanked off. And this is the other side of the pilot jet, which isn't used, but it can be that it blocks up. So what he's done is he's drilled out what would be the blank on this side, and then tapped it, and then we've got a cut-off air screw here, and that just screws in to re-blank it off, because once you've drilled it through, you clean everything out, and that's the best way of cleaning out the pilot jets, by drilling that out, so to actually get to any gunge, because it can be really, really solid in there. But you need to seal it back off, so you tap it and then put another screw in, which is, as I say, is like a cut-off air screw. So that's the original air screw, and that's the one of the other carb with the blanking plug put in. So air screw on the tick over side, on the tickler side, and blank on the reverse side. What he's also done is also check the float levels, put new gaskets on, and he has re-sleeved the throttle valves and reamed out the carburetor bodies to make sure they're totally cylindrical and that they perfectly fit with the throttle slides. And he's sent this very informative document all about carbs. He really knows his stuff about carbs, and just reinforcing the fact that how quickly Amals wear out. They were made to a certain spec that, obviously Triumph and that, they wanted cheap as possible, so they made them like cheap. And the main problem is that these throttle valves wear really quickly. People don't realise. I think I've said before that over in America, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, that back in the 70s, California and that were getting stricter and stricter on emissions. And they brought in, so for the T150, it would pass emissions on when they were new, no problem. But after 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles, California, wised up to things and said, right, you've got to pass emissions test after the engine's run 1,000 miles, not when it's brand new. And the T150s were struggling to pass the emission tests after 1,000 miles, because that's how much this slide can wear. So what you do is you ream that out, and this is actually sleeves. There's actually a very thin sort of ring now around the throttle valve, and that's then been cut down to perfectly match this the bore of the carb. So I think this is a stainless steel sleeve. The advantage of that is, as with the Amal Premier carbs, is that because they're different metals, they don't wear as much. Because this used to be alloy, that's alloy. The two metals together would wear very quickly. Now this being, although that's still alloy, because this is now stainless steel, or I think there's also a sort of silver bronze or something option, but I think that's stainless steel. A, it'll fit nicely, and B, not leak. B, it shouldn't wear anything like as quickly, and so the carbs should stay in tune a lot longer. Which just brings me on to the Amal Premier carbs, because Premier carbs, the main difference on Premier carbs is that they have this hole drilled out, and that they actually have the pilot jet itself is screws in there. So in these carbs, these are standard carbs, the actual pilot jet is in the middle of the carb somewhere. This is just like a tube going down to it. On the Premier carbs, it's actually the pilot jet itself. So A, you can unscrew it and actually replace the pilot jet with a different size. And B, of course, the whole point is you can get in and clean out that damn pilot circuit if it's blocked. And the other big difference on Premier carbs is that this is stainless steel, but the Premier carbs are hard anodized. They're anodized aluminium. And so again, it's a different, so it's hard and they won't wear, and so they won't wear anything like as fast as the standard ones. And I think the Premiers also come with stay-up floats. Now so we were thinking of changing to Amal Premiers, and so I rang up. I found out that they are stopping making standard Amal carbs, because they wear and all that. Apparently they're just not going to make them again. So I think there might be a few around, but they're not. They're stopping making the standard ones. They're only going to sell Premiers, because it makes sense, because they're much better than, in terms of Amals. So the Premiers are much better than the standards, but the cost, including VAT, of a new set of 3 Premier Amals is, wait for it, £660. So £220 each. So the price has gone up massively over the last couple of years. So that's why we decided to go. These are reasonably new, although they've been, the Carb whisperer looked at them and said, no, they need replacing. They've worn, the throttle valves have worn. He looked at them straight away and said, no. He also checked the float heights for me and said, yeah, they're fine. Now here's the rub. Sorry if you've been waiting for this. He looked at them and he basically said, well, I don't think they're blocked. He said, no, you're right. I didn't think they were blocked. I sprayed all my stuff through them. But I'm at my wit's end, so we sent them off to put in this sort of upgrade or adaptation to clear that out. But he didn't think they were blocked anyway. So, which is rather what I was worried about. I was hoping he'd come, yeah, wow, they really blocked those carbs. No wonder they didn't run. That's what he'd hoped he'd say. But he didn't, of course. He said, no, I couldn't really find anything wrong with them. But we've re-sleeved them. We've put that removable sort of screw in so we can clean the jets out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them back on the bike, and maybe hope against hope they'll run. It cost £150 to do all that. I mean, you compare that with £660 for 3 new ones. So that was to put that screw in and to re-sleeve all the throttle valves, £150 for all of that. So, fantastic. Oh yeah, one thing he didn't do that people have been talking to me about, he did not drill through, get the light right so we can see. These are obviously open holes, airways for the pilot circuit, and I think for the main jet, is it? I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly where they go. But there's a blanked off one. Now, people have told me that you should drill that blank one out and then clean it out. But he said, no, you don't need to do that because it is blanked out. It can't really be blocked because it's already blocked. Anyway, so he didn't do that. Now some people have told me, oh, you need to drill that out, clean it out, and then reblock it. But I wasn't sure. I didn't want to do it myself, and then he said, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm not sure. Okay, where was I? Yeah, I've completely lost my thread now. Yeah, so I'm going to put these back on the bike. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say was, unfortunately, it's just hit me at a really, really busy time. I've got loads of things going on. It only took a week to do these, the guy, which is great. Sent them back. It's been a very smooth process. I'd recommend him, no problem. But I just haven't had time. It's only going to take me a couple of hours at most to fit, put them back on the gantry and get them on the bike and start it up and see how we're doing. But I just haven't got time. That's why I'm making this interim video now, because I know it's been ages since the last video and people have been saying, like, what's going on? So hopefully tomorrow evening, I don't know. I'm so busy. I'm working. I'm putting a kitchen in for bathroom in for a friend, and that's taken up all my time, apart from various other things going on as well. So that's why I'm posting this now, to apologise and just to update people. And as soon as I possibly can find 5 minutes, I will get these back on the bike and we'll see how we're doing. And fingers crossed, but I just thought I'd let you know what was happening carb-wise. Okay, there we go.